Whether you've never been to Thailand, or whether you have spoken to someone from Thailand, or whether you just have a belief about Thailand, here are some of the things that people get wrong, either because they're a misconception, they've seen it on TV, they've spoken to somebody and they have explained things wrong, or they just have had a bad experience here, and because of that, they have got certain things wrong. I'll dig into some of the meaty subjects that people don't usually talk about. I'll speak about the things that are quite common that people get wrong, and I'll give you my take on it. The first one on this list is that Thailand is just for bar girls and ladyboys, or in other words, Thailand is just for sex tourism. Now, I could pull out a number of comments from videos and speaking with people where they tell me that either I am in Thailand just for girls, or that Thailand gets such a high amount of tourism just for that reason. Now, hear me out. I am not saying Thailand does not get tourists for that reason. I'd be naive, and so would anybody if they said that. But here is my take and why I believe that is not true. And before I dig into this, all I want to say on this is I don't judge anyone for what they get up to, what they want to do with their lives, what they want to spend their money on, and what they want to spend their time doing. If that's what you want to do, crack on. It's no judgment on my part.
It's none of my business. It's none of my business.
So now we got that out of the way, let's get stuck into the meat and potatoes of this. So, right, yes, the women, bar girls and nightlife is a huge draw of Thailand, but it is not the biggest draw, and I would argue that the number of people that come here for that reason is a lot smaller of a percentage than what at least a lot of people believe. In 2019, Thailand had around about 39 million tourists, or 39 million international visitors. Let's call it 40 million. These comments suggesting from people that the bulk of people are coming here for either that reason or for smoking bud, we'll call it, smoking bud, herb, whatever we want to call it. I'm not going to call it anything else in this video because I don't know how YouTube takes that. I've never really spoken about it before. But let's rule out the bud part of this first of all, and why that is complete nonsense when these comments say, yeah, the reason why people go there is to smoke. Garbage. Here's why. Bud was legalized in Thailand in 2022. Thailand was getting 39 million visitors, or 40 million visitors in 2019. In 2024, it is getting less visitors, and last year it was getting less, albeit the pandemic will have had a contributing factor to this. Yes, it will. But if people just came here for that reason, why are less people here now since it's been legal than what they were before? I'm pretty confident in saying that that statement that people come here only for that, and that is a massive reason that people come here, I just don't believe that's true, and I think the numbers prove it. If it was true, then surely the number of people coming here would be higher since its legalization than what they are now. Point number one. Next is that people only travel to Thailand for the women. And I'll state a fact that some people do travel here for that reason. Thailand is one of the sex tourism capitals of the world. That's a fact. But let me talk about multiple cohorts of people that come to Thailand also that aren't coming for those reasons. Number one, backpackers. If you search into Google the most popular backpacking countries or destinations in the world, in the top 3 it will always be Thailand, and in 90% of these lists it will be Thailand that is number 1. So that's a big chunk of people coming in that are backpackers. Number 2, people coming here on their honeymoon. If you type in top destinations on earth for honeymoons, Thailand will pop up on that list time and time again. Then we have couples coming here, just normal couples coming to Thailand on holiday that aren't coming for those reasons. Again, I want to state, I'm not judging anyone. I don't care what you get up to. Like, everyone has fun in different ways and does different things. You do you. I don't care. But saying it is just for that is crazy. When you take into account that you've got people on their honeymoon, couples, cultural trips, you've got backpackers, you have got people just coming here that are on their own that aren't coming for those reasons. So out of those 39 million people coming here, are we saying that the majority of those people coming here are for either smoking or sex tourism? Because that would be a crazy claim. I wanted to get that one out first and hit the video off covering that point that is clearly a commonly believed factor to why people come here, because I'm told it all the time in my comments, people I speak with, and it's a common belief. And if you've been to Thailand and do firmly believe that, I would only want to pitch out there that maybe you have spent the majority of your time in Pattaya, Patong, some areas of Bangkok, etc. Final time I say it, not passing judgment, just if you surround yourself in those crowds and only see that world of that bubble, then maybe you will believe that that is the only bubble that exists, and those are the only people that are here, and those are the only reasons people come here. Always forget which way it is. I believe it's this way. Now, next point is something I used to believe, and if you speak to the likes of your grandparents or older generation and certain people that just haven't been to this part of the world or haven't been to Thailand, they will believe that Thailand is a third world country, but I don't think that's the politically correct term to use anymore. But they would believe that it's a third world country, and even though it is worth noting that Thailand does have one of the biggest or one of the most significant income inequalities in Southeast Asia, it is growing in its economy pretty much year on year and has been since the 1980s or something like that. But to think that you don't have modern technology here and would be a little bit of a misconception. I've been in restaurants when they've got waiters serving me that are robots. They're not obviously robots that walk around and act like humans. They're going around and they deliver your food. They're like these robotic machines that go around, they have slots in and they have trays of food that deliver your food to your table. So I have better Wi-Fi here than I do in the UK. The public transport in places like Bangkok, this is a country that is growing, that has modern technology and is a lot more advanced than quite often we might think coming from the West. Is Thailand safe or is it unsafe? I've got a few different points on this and I'm going to try cover them all. So firstly, for tourists mainly, is Thailand safe? Let me just put a bit of subjectivity and my own opinion on this. I feel safer in Thailand than I do the UK. Does that mean it is safer? Not necessarily, no. I'll be honest. No, it doesn't mean it is safer, but I feel safer. If you were to look through forums and get the opinion of people that have spent a lot longer than I have here, or that have visited more times than me, you'll find a consensus across the board that most people have hugely positive experiences, bar a few minor incidents. There is an exception to that. You always want to keep your wits about you, of course, but if you are in touristy areas that are super built up, that there are more scams, that there are more people that are trying to make a living at your expense, then yes, the potential for it to be unsafe may be higher. Moving on from that, vehicles a lot less safe. That's a fact. I'm not going to touch on this too much because I've done other videos going into it in more details, but when it comes to the road safety in Thailand, that is not a strong point for the country. No one can really dispute that. The numbers are there, people's experiences are there. That is not a huge strong point. Generally, you're going to be much safer in a car than you would be on a bike. It can't be ignored that it isn't the safest place to be on the roads here, but it's a lot safer in 4 wheels than it is on 2. Sweet. Yeah. Deep squat to get into that position. So next, I've had a few questions about vaccines and do you need vaccinations to come here and everything else. I'm not a medical expert. I am not educated enough or in a position to give anyone advice on this. I can only give you my personal experience. The way Thailand can sometimes be portrayed is that you will need every jab under the sun to keep yourself safe here from the diseases and from the different types of viruses, etc. that you can catch. When I first came here, I naively didn't know that you needed a vaccine to travel anywhere on earth, and I came here not knowing that and just didn't have anything and traveled around all of Southeast Asia without anything, and I was absolutely fine. Does that mean everyone will be? Definitely doesn't. That's just my experience. now I am up to date with things like my tetanus and hepatitis jabs, and that's really all I get. All the others, maybe they're more important if you go to rural Thailand or rural anywhere in Southeast Asia. I don't know. I'm not an expert. There's certain things you can't avoid. You can't avoid food poisoning. You can't avoid getting sick. You can't avoid getting a cold, which I've got a little bit of one at the minute. These things you can't avoid. But if I was me, which I am, I would get the general stuff to make sure that I can rest assured and not feel scared and on edge every time I eat something or drink something or graze myself thinking, I'm gonna die in a few days or a few weeks because of something that was actually avoidable. Now in the next one, I'm just gonna glaze over super fast, and that is corruption. I've spoken about it before, just briefly, but the reason I don't touch on it too much is because I don't like talking about subjects that I don't have too much knowledge in. And the reason I don't have too much knowledge in this is because I haven't really came into contact with it too much. And most people I know haven't either. Does it exist here? 100%. It exists in most countries in some form or another. It's just here it's a little bit more obvious sometimes. But what I would say is, if you are here in Thailand and you're going about your life and not doing anything really wrong, you're not going to come into too much of it. You could get a fine for some kind of motoring offence. Like I said, I don't know too much about it and I haven't experienced tons of it, just very brief bits here and there throughout the time I've spent in Thailand over the last 5 or 6 years. But yeah, it does happen. Will it affect you? Probably not. That's all I'm going to say on it. If you want to find out more about that, go dig into someone else's video that goes into it in more depth. Now, one of the final things I'm going to speak about on this video that I think people get wrong about Thailand, because I know I got wrong about Thailand because I haven't had to use it until recently, and that is the healthcare here. But I'm not going to talk about that too much here because I've got a video that I recorded the other day with my experience from a Thai hospital after hurting my foot and going in and getting some treatment. So I will play that now. So it is 3 minutes past 12 and I got into the hospital just now, 35 minutes ago. I got in at 11:28. My appointment was at 11:30 and I'm walking out at 12:03. 35 minutes. I got in. I'd already booked an appointment. Well, I liaised with a nurse first, then had an appointment with a doctor, had an x-ray on my foot just for something going on with my toe. I had 3 x-rays. I come back, spoke with the doctor again, then went into a waiting room to pay, then paid, got my kind of outbound forms, paid, then came out all in 35 minutes for 1,960 baht, so about 45 English pounds, about 60 US dollars. If you've ever experienced the NHS in the UK, and I'm not somebody to shit all over the NHS or complain about these things, but that being said, you could be waiting weeks, months for something simple unless you were to go to the emergency room or A&E. Whereas here, 35 minutes, I emailed them yesterday, I got the appointment, they responded on email within about 2 or 3 minutes, and now I'm here. Just had an appointment, 1,960 baht, in and out in 35 minutes. Great, clean, modern experience. As you can see from that video, it's pretty impressed. I've got a very, very good experience, very good treatment. I've seen other travel YouTubers in Thailand and they have said very similar things about Thai healthcare. I've spoken to people I know here, friends I've got here, and they have also said the same. Another misconception or belief about Thailand is that it is super, super cheap. Now, I have been an advocate on my channel saying that it is very affordable and it's not a super expensive destination that some people will have you believe. Those people that say that generally are comparing it to what it used to be, or are just living somewhere that is super cheap already and comparing it to that. Thailand is very affordable and your money can go a long way, but I've had people say to me, you can live out here for £500 or $500 and live like a king. Definitely not. Those days are long gone. Like, maybe they are hearing that from a movie or somebody that said it back in the day in the 90s or early 2000s. You definitely cannot get by like that here. You can live a very nice quality of life here for better money than what you could in the UK, US, Australia, Canada, but it is still going to cost you money. It is not free to live here. It is not super super cheap, but it is very, very affordable, especially in comparison to those countries I just mentioned. Take what you will from that. I'm not saying it's super cheap, but it's a lot cheaper than what I'm used to and what most of the people watching this video will be used to. So guys, what have I missed from this list? Is there anything there that have surprised you, that you think that you did believe before but don't believe now? Is there something there that you think I'm completely wrong about? Maybe it is why people come to Thailand, what I mentioned earlier on in the video. Maybe it's the healthcare. Maybe it is it not being safe. I don't know. They are the things that I strongly believe that people do get wrong and do believe about Thailand, having spoken to a lot of people. But I'm keen to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you agree. And I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.